Hey, what's up? This is the Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario. OakRidgeFord.com. I'm Norm, along with Mike. It is Sunday, January 16th, 2022. The Leafs coming off a 6-5 win over the Blues in St. Louis, 7-2-1 in their past 10, third in their division. The Leafs are playing well, Mike, but after last night's lead and then deficit and then ultimate victory, the question is, are they playing well?
Good morning, Norm. Well, I mean, I said after the game, it was heart stopping. It's like, the pharmacies were probably running out of nitroglycerin pills after watching that game. I mean, this is the thing. You can't complain about the fact that they're winning and that they're playing well, but are they playing the type of hockey that can win when it counts? And for most of the season, you would have said yes, because they're in the top 5 in goals against, and Campbell's having a great year and they're scoring goals. But on this recent road trip, and you have to put a caveat there that, they had a lengthy absence because of COVID and because the NHL shut down, and you had 15 players out with COVID, and the sort of losing your mojo in terms of just rolling and being consistent. And Sheldon Keefe has talked about, conditioning and things of that nature. But on this road trip, they had a 4-1 lead against Colorado, blew that lead. They had a lead against Vegas, blew that lead, but won in the shootout. An absolutely inexcusable loss, and I will go into that further because I took some crap from some Leaf fans on Twitter about it, but I really don't give a crap. An absolutely inexcusable 2-1 loss to the Arizona Freakin Coyotes, and then this game they're leading 3-1 going into the third period against a really good St. Louis team, and proceed to give up that lead and fall behind 5-4. And then come back and give them full credit. They come back, they tie the game, and they get the winning goal on Makheyev's late third period goal. So they're 2-1-1 again on a road trip against some really good competition. My complaint is they lost against the worst competition, and they're showing the signs of cracking in terms of that defensive ability that they need to have when it comes to the playoffs. And I think it shows it's a greater sign of some flaws on the roster. They have to match up against Florida and Tampa and a hard charging Boston team. And I think it's an open question whether they're good enough.
Chris Daniels, that was the most stressful game of the year. Chris, thanks for being in the chat. Will85 is here. Akinzeki is here. 09 Max, Cameron Gilchrist. Oh boy, Enzo the Commissioner. Guys, thanks for joining us. This is the Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario. OakRidgeFord.com. Trucks are rolling in. I'm working with some OGs and converts right now on car deals. Here's the thing, guys. Even if you're thinking of buying somewhere privately, you're doing a lease renewal, you can reach out to me and I will give you advice. I will let you know how it really goes in the business. You don't have to buy a vehicle from me. We're one big community. We can help each other out. If you have any questions about it, I've learned this business really, really fast. I don't know everything, but coming out of broadcast as a second career, I had to get my ass in gear and do it right. And we are. So if you need any help on anything, let me know. And if you have a deal out there that you're not so sure about and I have something comparable, I will win that business and make you feel really good. That said, let's get back to hockey. Mike, the Leafs are winning, and we expected them to win based on all of their talent. It's how they are winning. They get up in games and then they relent, and then it's just a shit show, and then they eke it out. It's stressful, as Chris said. I mean, it's fun for a lot of people. They are getting the 2 points, but the concern is if they don't lock it down a little bit better, even score less and play better defensively, they're not setting themselves up for success in the playoffs. And anyone who would disagree with that is wrong, because we've seen this team go bust in the playoffs year after year. They have done nothing in the playoffs to prove that this type of hockey is the way the Leafs can play to be to bear fruit in that second season. And that's my concern. I love that Matthews is scoring tons of goals. Look, Mikheyev was amazing, and I hope we see more of this. Liljegren got his first goal last night. Marner's off the schneid a little bit, and maybe he's rejuvenated after coming back through from the sick bay. But man, oh man, this going up and then giving it all back and then eking out a win, that is not a recipe for success when it counts the most. And everybody knows that. And that's why there should be a caveat to this success that's taking place right now. It's not success the right way. So what can the Leafs do to alter and amend what they are putting on the ice to make this whole process a little safer and a little more comfortable?
Well, I mean, I look at the teams that they played. First of all, Colorado is, I mean, they're an amazing team with deep talent and a lot of skill.
Sure.
And that game was basically throttle wide open both sides. I mean, which was not exactly conducive to what the Leafs were up 4-1, and that game was not safe by any means. Playing against Vegas and St. Louis, I think, is an example. I mean, the Arizona game is an aberration. They got stoned by a goaltender, but I still think that it's inexcusable.
Didn't we expect that though, Mike? Didn't we figure they were?
No. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you look at what Arizona is doing. Like they got their ass whooped by Colorado. I think 5-0. It's like that's what a good team. And this is the crap that I took on Twitter. I said, the Leafs lose 2-1 to Arizona. Every team gets goalied. Every team loses to a hot goaltender. But good teams like Florida and Tampa in the Leafs division don't lose games like that. And then, of course, people sent me the box score of Ottawa beating Tampa and of Detroit beating Florida. And I'm like, if you think that the Arizona Coyotes are in the same zip code as Detroit or Ottawa, with the talent that they have with Raymond and Sider in Detroit, with Batherson and Tkachuk and Shabbat and Stützle in Ottawa, you're brain dead. Because that team is built to do one thing: finish 32nd. And then,
so, Mike, let me ask you, what concerns you more? The Leafs giving up leads to juggernauts and then, obviously winning games, or losing 2-1 to an also ran like the Coyote?
Both. I mean, both are warning signs. I mean, what I was going to say about Vegas and St. Louis is, those are teams that play what I would describe as big boy hockey. Size, physicality, dirty sometimes. Vegas right now doesn't have Pacioretty, doesn't have Eichel, so you didn't see the, Vegas at their highest level, and the Leafs had to go to a shootout with them. St. Louis, Ryan O'Reilly ran roughshod over the Leafs. They have some good young players. They play physical as well. And that's what Boston and Tampa and Florida do. They're multi-dimensional. They can play offensively with skill. They can play with size. And I don't know, the Leafs right now, they have their fourth liners like Simmons and Clifford, who offer some pushback. They have bigger players who aren't exactly physical like Engvall or Mikheyev. But on defense, where I think it matters the most, they have one physical defenseman in Jake Muzzin. Riley and Brody are a great top pairing. So that's, but where I think Kyle Dubas will need to address, as always, is on defense. And last night, as you mentioned, Liljegren scored his first NHL goal, and I thought he had a good game playing with Muzzin. I don't know if right now at 22 years old that he's a top 4 defenseman. He's just filling in for Justin Hall. But I don't think Justin Hall's a top 4 defenseman. And right now, I like Sandin. I like Liljegren on the bottom pairing. And if you can go out before the deadline and get yourself a top 4 defenseman, which I think is the need of this team, and not just any top 4 defenseman, a top 4 defenseman with physicality, a Rasmus Ristolainen, somebody like that, then that is a difference maker that might be able to put the Leafs over the top. But right now, if they face a team that plays big boy hockey at a big boy time, which is the playoffs, I don't know if they'll win.
Well, they lose to teams that don't even play big boy hockey, like the Montreal Canadiens, right? Rachel in community, youtube.com/the Leafs Convo. Are you guys concerned about the Leafs defensive play lately? Yes, Rachel, we certainly are. And we can't just pin this on the defensive players. We have to pin this on the play throughout. the tactics that Sheldon Keefe draws up, and the way these guys are unable to hold leads, and that's the key. You score all the goals you want, but if you give them back, it's just a frigging crapshoot at the end of the game. So that's the thing, right, Mike? What is happening when a team goes up 3-1 that has this kind of firepower and this sort of talent?
Mm-hmm.
Why the relapse? What is happening? Is this a mental thing? We talked about this before, and we sound like a broken record because we're bringing it up again. Do they think that the other team won't have an answer to what they just put forth? Like, I don't understand how they can't just lock it down.
Well, I mean, and somebody in the chat's like, screw the defense, score more. Okay, no, but see, this is the problem. If that's your mentality, that's not going to work in the playoffs. You're not going to outscore teams. You have to have the ability to shut games down. That means play defensively sound in your own zone. I mean, again, last night against St. Louis, they lost puck battles in front of the net. And that's the thing. When it gets more physical, then it's really a battle of will rather than a battle of skill. And that's what, that's where I think, they have some players, they have veteran guys who are savvy. They have, Spezza and Simmons and Clifford and Tavares and Muzzin. They have guys who have won Stanley Cups, Clifford and Muzzin. But, and I think guys like Austin Matthews have upped their physical game over the last few years. I don't think he's a pushover anymore, but it's a team buy-in. And the thing is that I don't know, I don't know that they were outworked against Montreal last year. Montreal had veterans like Sherratt, like Gallagher, like
clearly, yeah.
And they outworked the Leafs in the last 3 games of that series to win it. I think that the mentality is there. I just don't know whether the right combination of players is there. We won't know until they get to the playoffs, until they see who they're matching up against. And if they match up against the wrong team that can, match their skill and be able to be more physical and win those battles, then they're going to be in trouble. And then it's going to come down to Jack Campbell, being better than the other team's goaltender. And, I think Jack Campbell's had a fantastic year. Do I think he's better than Andrei Vasilevsky or Sergei Bobrovsky or Tuukka Rask? I don't know. So, I mean, it's really an open question. And there is talent there. There are players who are having really good years. But the question is whether they can perform when this team needs them to perform.
And this entire season, this 82-game run, any way it's packed up and delivered to them is the audition for the playoffs. We know the Leafs are going to get in again. We expect them to get in again. But we also expect them to shit the bed again, right? It's nothing right now is demonstrating to me that this is a different type of team than what we saw last year. Yeah, that's not necessarily a bad thing because there's still time to make improvements. But there's just such a long way to go. Real quick, Mike, 09 Max, Bruins don't scare me. They have one great line in their core D isn't great. I'll tell you what, the Bruins, they eternally frighten me because the Bruins own the Leafs in the playoffs. Until that is rectified, until that is reversed, I will be fearful of the Bruins, and I think a lot of the commenters in the chat are letting Mr. 09 Max have it. Hopefully in a friendly way, because I get what he's saying, but I don't get what he's saying.
Yeah, let me ask 09 Max a question. That one line, the perfection line, who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop him?
Yeah.
If there's an answer, if you think that like the Tavares, Kerfoot, Nylander line match up against them can stop them from scoring on the power play 5-on-5, then I sign up for you. Then okay, then they don't scare me. Nobody's been able to friggin' stop them. Are you kidding me?
It's like the Patriots defense against Josh Allen last night. Not able to stop him. Hey, was it 5 touchdown passes? Holy crap.
How about 7 touchdowns on 7 drives? I mean, I'll never see that. You'll never see that again in your lifetime. It's just,
All of the ineptitude, all of the mediocrity, the 4 straight Super Bowls, all leading up to this season, Michael.
yeah, okay, yeah. They'll lose to Kansas City next week. Watch.
The eternal pessimist, Michael Augello, always here with us. We love it. B-Rig, pond hockey. Do the Leafs play pond hockey, Mike? Are they a glorified pond hockey team?
No, they're not. They're not wide open, irresponsible defensively. That's pond hockey. That's shinny. No, they don't play that. But you saw at times. I mean, when Ryan O'Reilly just goes to the net, or Mikko Mikkola, some big defenseman, plants himself in the crease and buries it past Campbell to put them in the lead. I mean, those are the things that you can prevent by proper defensive structure and by having defensemen who can clear the front of the net. And Marcus, are you okay?
I always take you off your tangent when
Kyle,
I do it on purpose.
Did you see the shot that Kyle Clifford blocked last night? And
excuse me.
Yeah, this is okay. Is Kyle Clifford the top 9 guy? No. Is he a valuable veteran 4th line?
Why is he here? I love it.
Sure. And they got him for free, and he's only $1 million on the salary cap. So I mean, I think he's a valuable depth addition in a year when every team needs quality depth. And by the way, I calculated yesterday after the news came out that Kasha Hall and Nick Ritchie had gone on the COVID protocol list. The number of players that have been COVID positive and been on the protocol list in the last month is 21. The only 3 that have not been on protocol is Michael Bunting, Austin Matthews, and Kyle Clifford. Those are the only 3. Now you can say that, oh well, great, then Matthews is going to get it eventually, and based on it, that's based on everything that's going on with Omicron. Right? You might be right, but here's the positive thing. With 21 players getting it, they're not going to get it again for at least the next 3 months. So that they're through their COVID problem, whereas other teams might not be. So that's an advantage for the Leafs.
Let's talk a little bit about some positive things. As if the Leafs winning 7 of 10 isn't positive. Power play, number 2 in the league, just under 30%. They had a fantastic power play to start last year, and then it fizzled. For as much as we are shitting on the way the Leafs do things in completion here, do we feel like the power play is something that at least playing at a clip that is top 5, do we feel like it's here to stay?
Well, I mean, right now is a repeat of last year, because around the halfway mark is when they started to have difficulty. So, they were fantastic last year. And it was this 5-man combo. And Matthews sniping at the level that he is, with 10 goals in consecutive road games, 10 in a row. With Nylander being a secondary trigger man, with Tavares being in front of the net, Marner, I mean, I know that, Marner has been, I think it was Sportsnet or Hockey Night in Canada that said, pointed out the statistic that Marner hasn't scored a power play goal since February of 2020. It's like, okay, he's a facilitator. He's not a trigger man. So I mean, you would like him to score.
Got 2 points last night.
Right. And was that a nice snipe on that goal? I mean, it was top corner. It was a really nice shot. So I mean, Marner's job on the power play is not to be a shooter. It's to feed Matthews. It's to feed Nylander and Tavares, get the puck to the point for Riley. Yeah, right now their power play is working well. I think Riley and his improved offense this year has been a big part of that. But Matthews, being the premier sniper that he is also a big part of that. So, I mean, right now I would say, their power play has been a difference and it's been a success, but Do I know whether it's going to be like that in April near the end of the season? No, because last year teams adjusted and then they had trouble adjusting back. So we'll see.
Yeah. And Marner, if he can pick up a point a game, be a facilitator for Matthews, and be integral to, 3-zone, 200-foot hockey defensively, be that guy that we remember him from a few seasons ago, blocking shots and getting in lanes and just playing balls to the wall kind of thing. And the way he was trained in junior hockey, that's what I want to see. I don't care if he scores a shitload of goals, and he's going to take criticism for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
Just be a great two-way hockey player. More positivity here. Timothy Liljegren picks up his first NHL goal.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's expecting him to be the second coming of Bobby
Bob Bond.
Bob Bond or Bobby Orr, except for the fanboys out there, and that's their right. But first goal, that's nice to see, and it's the first of maybe not many, but enough to help solidify him as a real serious contributor from the blue line.
This year was his first legitimate opportunity to play regularly after serving his penance or his apprenticeship down in the American Hockey League. I think they had to give Timothy Liljegren a long look to see where he was. And personally, looking at the 7 defensemen that they have right now, I think he's definitely one of the 6th best. That means he should play. They've continued to rotate, Dermott and Sandin and sometimes Hall and Liljegren. And I get that because they want to keep them all involved, but they want the depth, and they need the depth because of, COVID and things of that nature. But I look at where their defense is right now, and I think you've got a good top 3 with Riley, Brody, and Muzzin. I think you have 2 defensemen with promise in Sandin and Liljegren, who I think are playing well this year. Sandin had 10 hits against Vegas. He's unexpectedly physical. He's not a big defenseman, but he can lay the hit. But my problem is, 6 and 7.
Don't all the great defensemen hit? Don't. Well, I mean, at least aren't they at least physical? They don't have to be overbearing. They're not Scott Stevens, but
no.
I'm sorry, that's part of it, man. You're not just dangling out there. It's not Olympic hockey.
Well, he's got
to take the body and give it.
He's not, but the thing is, he's not a big physical defense. He's like 5'11" and 185 pounds.
To mix it up, not be afraid.
Right, exactly. What you have to do to keep the flies off of you is to every once in a while drop somebody, and that's what he did with in Vegas earlier in the week, and that's what he did last year when he hit Blake Wheeler in Winnipeg, and that. But Lidstrom didn't hit. He didn't have to because he was the equivalent of Bobby Orr. I mean, he's one of the top 3 or 4 defensemen of all time. But Nicholas Kronwall, his teammate, who was a good defenseman, he did hit, and he wasn't a big guy. And really, what Sandin is doing is similar to Kronwall. I mean, I was always think he's hit, using the what I call the double cheek check. He always hits guys from behind, and that is effective.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
But where the issue is, and I think where the obviously, if their defense gets hurt in the playoffs, then the depth is going to be challenged. But really, right now, where they stand, Travis Dermott is an okay 6th. Justin Hall this year has dropped from being a top 4 to being, I think, a 7th defenseman. If you go out at the deadline and get yourself a top 4 to play with either you break up Riley and Brody, or you put that top 4 defenseman with Muzzin, that improves your depth. Then you would have Sandin and Liljegren as your bottom pairing, and then your defense is really deep and really talented. If they don't do that, then one injury, and both Hall and Dermott are playing in the playoffs. And we saw what happened when Muzzin got hurt late in that series last year, and what happened when he got hurt against Columbus. They're not deep enough, and they need to be deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And the cap situation going before the deadline is something that they're going to have to work on to be able to add a defenseman, which means maybe trading a Hall or maybe trading a Nick Ritchie to clear cap space. But that's where this team is right now. For them to beat Tampa or beat Florida or beat Boston, their defense, not only team-wise, but blue line-wise, will have to get better.
Yeah, when you're growing a team, despite the general pressures to succeed, you want it to happen organically. And look, the Leafs have lots of great things going for them, but there is a an expeditious element to this process here. This team cannot lose another round in the playoffs, or at least another first round. It cannot.
Well,
I mean, I guess it can. They will be part of the league next year, but it cannot. So, with the young guys coming through, Kyle Dubas isn't going to be getting rid of anybody who's integral to the long-term success of the organization. But even if he has to piecemeal it, they need to make some strides when it counts. So, well, that remains to be seen if it can be done. A few other things. Ilya Mikheyev. He's returned like a man possessed. Now, I have a question for you. Who is Soup? Is he Soup or is Jack Campbell Soup?
They're both Soup.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Because Jack Campbell the Soup, and why is Mikheyev Soup?
Because he likes soup.
Yeah. Well, we're all Soup. I like soup.
Well,
what is your OG's Converse? What's your favorite soup? Yeah. I like a beef and barley something in a Campbell's can.
Scott.
No, chicken gumbo. Chicken gumbo, man. Have you ever had that?
No, I've never had chicken gumbo.
You want it like an Italian wedding.
No. I'm a French onion soup guy myself. I love the layered cheese and the bread in there. It's like,
that's good for you. That's good for you.
Oh, it's great for my cardiovascular.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, OG's Converse. What's your favorite soup? Ilya Mikheyev playing like a man on fire. Is this a revelation?
Well, I mean, this is what they sort of expected from him coming out of the KHL. And honestly, the first couple of years of his NHL career, he couldn't get laid in a whorehouse with a roll of $20 bills. But, sorry about that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Careful, man.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Ilya. Sorry for the YouTube censors, but no, I mean, or to use the more G-rated analogy, he couldn't throw a rock into Lake Ontario standing on Lakeshore Boulevard.
There you go.
Yeah, that's better. But this year, now 5 goals in 7 games. But it's the ironic thing here is, Norm, is that he's a free agent. He's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. So this is a salary drive, and they don't care about that right now. But more than likely, he's not going to be back next year. But right now they don't care about that. They care about winning, and that's the that's the main motivation. So are they happy he's scoring? Sure. Are they going to worry about that in the offseason? Yeah, because more than likely he's going to go wherever he's going to get paid the most, and he's not going to get paid the most in Toronto. But they just want him to score. They like him. He's a good defensive player. He can penalty kill, and he's been scoring goals. And they need that. Cream of mushroom soup is good stuff.
Is it?
Yes.
Isn't that what you put on pork chops?
There are recipes you can use it for, but no, I mean a good cream of mushroom soup, which I have made myself from scratch. It's great.
The other soup going to the All-Star game. That's something for his personal accolades. He's one of the best goaltenders in the league, and for a guy who was on the scrap heap not too long ago to be going to the All-Star game with the reigning Rocket Richard Trophy winner and guy who's in contention for that title again, that's pretty cool.
It's a great story, and he's got to be thankful that he got the opportunity last year. When Freddie Anderson got hurt, and he's been able to step up and play well in the playoffs and now play at an all-star level this year. Again, there's a concern there, and they'll worry about this in the offseason before he's a UFA. But, him having this year is going to make it a little more expensive. They were talking about signing him for, a 2 or 3 year deal of $4 million. Now he's going to be something like 5.5 on a multi-year deal. And at a certain point, it's going to be tough for the Leafs to fit him in. I mean, there are ways around that. They can trade Mrazek in the offseason. They should be able to move him off of their roster without it costing them too much to take a team to get a team to take him off of their hands. But it would have been more fiscally beneficial for them to have gotten him signed before the year. But nobody really knew what they had. And
it's interesting.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, they're going to go with him. They're going to ride that horse. They're going to see where he takes them. And then I think at the end of the year, before July 1st, they're going to, or excuse me, I think free agency is after the draft. So it'd probably be July 15th. They'll either get him signed or then they're looking for a new goaltender. And I think they like him so much and his personality and his teammates like him so much that I can't foresee them not getting a deal and maybe him taking a little bit of a haircut.
Sure.
But not so much. He's never been paid in his NHL career. He wants to get paid, and like anybody else. So I don't begrudge him that. But they're gonna need him. If he continues to play with this, they're gonna need him going forward. Minestrone, no, thank you. Nope.
But on the Mrazek signing, Mike, was that? It seems now, and I wonder how they were weighing this out. And they're based on their calculations of what they were expecting from Campbell, who was pretty phenomenal last year. But was this a miscalculation on Dubas's part, signing Mrazek for all that money? Because it's kind of put. I mean, again, it's not as if this team isn't historically up against the cap, but it feels to me like it was a bit of a miscalculation signing Mrazek for that kind of money.
I think it was insurance. So I think the plan was that. They weren't 100% sure of what Campbell was because all they had for him as a starter was half a season, and a COVID season at that. Mrazek is a tested veteran who had a good year until injury struck in Carolina. Their plan, Norm, remember back to training camp, their plan was 1A, 1B, Mrazek, Campbell, basically goalie rotation. Whoever's hot will play. And then if the other guy gets cold, then the other guy plays. That was the plan. And then Mrazek gets hurt in the second game of the regular season and they have to play Campbell, and Campbell is playing a workload conducive to a number one starter and is at an all-star level. So, is Mrazek a good goaltender? Yes. Is Mrazek going to play a lot more in the second half of the season? Definitely, because you're going to have a lot of games, a lot of back-to-backs. And, Mrazek wasn't at fault for the loss of the Coyotes. It was the fact that the offense couldn't beat Karl Velmelka. So, I think they're going to be thankful that they have a number two like Mrazek down the line this season, and they're going to need to, because we know that Campbell, knock on wood, Campbell has had injury issues over his career, but they're going to need to have both goaltenders playing. And I think at the end of the year, even though I think Mrazek's played like 4 games, he's probably going to end up in the high 20s or even 30, because they're not going to want to beat Jack Campbell into the ground like they did Freddie Anderson and not have him have anything left in the tank when the playoffs roll around.
Yeah, the Leafs haven't even hit the halfway mark of the season. They would have had all those games not been postponed. 51 points through 36 games, 46 more games to go. I'm looking at the schedule right now, and it looks like games are dropped in sporadically over February, but that's because there was an expectation there would be a long break because of the Olympics. Just looking at that schedule without any makeup games, it looks tough, man. The Leafs are up against it with a lot of great competition that I'm sure would like to knock them down a peg or two. So there's no rest for the weary or the wicked or whatever the saying is, and it certainly applies to the Maple Leafs. So we get to watch the games, we get to follow along, we get to live with and experience the joy and these frenetic, frustrating games that will be interspersed along the way. It's all part of the process, but we all know that everything that happens between now and game 82 is a lead up for game 1 of the playoffs, and then what we're expecting to be, or what we're hoping to be, 4 wins before the 7 are up in that playoff series against whomever it is, because that's really the goal, is to win that first round, and then all bets would be off. Guys, appreciate the conversation in the chat. All sorts of different soups coming out of the woodwork. Like I said, I'm just going to go back to basic. Chicken gumbo, money. Nobody else is on side with me, and it seems like everybody else is in their own corner when it comes to soup.
I'm with B Rig on wonton soup. That's
and then pho soup is great, and kimchi is, I wouldn't even say that's a soup, but it's pretty delicious. Mike, I'll leave the last word to you.
Yeah, just on the schedule. The Leafs play another 5 road games between now and the end of February 1st. And then you have the 3 weeks that were reserved for All-Star break and the Olympic break, and they have 9 games to reschedule. So more than likely, in those 9 games, 5 on the road, 4 at home, this is going to get really packed really quickly. They haven't announced the revised schedule. It's going to be tough, and a lot of teams are going to go through the same thing. A lot of teams are going to have their schedules moved around. This is an unusual season. It's going to continue to be unusual, and we'll see.
Yeah, guys, it's been an absolute blast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon on YouTube for notifications as to what we're going to be doing next. I'm going to be putting up some of our content on podcast platforms. So if you're sick and tired of looking at our beautiful faces, and I know it's very difficult, because I mean, Mike and I are as effervescent as it gets. You can listen to us just audio. Follow along, guys. We're having a lot of fun, and we're big Leaf supporters. We just want to see them do well, and they are, sort of. For Mike, I'm Norm. Talk to you soon. Bye.